Hello, and welcome to episode 35 of Mishmash Mayhem,
Mishmash Mayhem.
the podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these fictional characters would win in a fight, and we talk about it on a podcast.
That's what this is.
Oh, thank God. I was worried that I'd ended up somewhere where I shouldn't be. In a
sound
restricted section.
really robotic.
Are you actually a secret robot Wade that's replaced regular Wade?
No, I meant you sounded really robotic
Oh.
when you were saying that.
Oh.
You were like, welcome to. Doesn't matter. It was funny. I enjoyed it. How are you doing this fine day?
I'm okay. I'm doing good. I've got my coffee.
God, it's coffee. What kind of coffee is it?
Standard, just coffee.
Standard, just coffee. There's no such thing as just coffee. I'm wearing my new headset, which matches my chair.
Ooh.
But I'm not using the headset mic. I'm still using the other mic because I don't think the headset mic is that great. I haven't worked that out yet. I was trying for a little bit today, but instead I went on a Pokemon walk.
Did you find anything good?
No, not really. Like, annoyingly, because you get all those special missions to do. That to do with like getting Victini and whatever. Because I've got so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just gives you all the ones that you should have been able to have access to. I've gained experience really fucking fast, but without actually catching any Pokemon. So like, I can't beat any of the Rocket Go leaders at all. Because their Pokemon are just way too powerful. I don't have enough Pokemon at a high level. I don't have enough evolved Pokemon because you have to catch billions of Pokemon to evolve a Pokemon.
Yes.
So like, I only have 2 good Pokemon doing it, and they're just like not the right type. So it's really annoying that I just can't do anything like that at the minute.
That's fair.
But hey, we'll get there eventually. I've got a Vulpix as my buddy eventually. Therefore, I'll get a Ninetales eventually, and then that'll be a start up the long road. Oh, and I made him a choke as well. A choke.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, I could trade it with you, and it could become a champ.
Yeah, you see, I don't like the trade function on Pokemon Go for evolution.
Why not?
They've only added it quite recently.
Right.
Because the issue is, once a Pokemon has been traded on Pokemon Go, it's not allowed to be traded again, so you can't give it back to the person if you use it as a trade evolution.
Oh, see. That sucks.
Also, when you trade a Pokemon, it re-rolls its appraisal and CP.
Right.
So there's no guarantee you're giving somebody a good Pokemon, because you could give them a good one and it could re-roll to be terrible.
Seems silly.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad.
So I understand why they've added in the trade functions for stuff that does trade evolve, but I just think it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Oh well, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Right, so obviously today is a 5 episode.
Oh, it is. It's a 5 episode. That's crazy.
So yeah, it's time to do something nice and do like a community shout out and such. I was thinking, right, because I haven't stumbled across any new podcasts or YouTube channels or such, which is the usual sort of thing I would shout out. I mean, obviously there are more that I watch than what I have said, but none that are like small. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, I don't necessarily see the point in shouting out ones that have millions and millions of like fans, even though they're great. It's just not, they don't necessarily need it as such. So what I thought might be a little bit different, as I've been sort of doing streaming for like the last 6 months or so, would be to shout out a couple of streamers who are pretty cool.
Burp, 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 burp. That was my pretty cool noise.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, obviously, I don't have much of a rundown for these people, just that they're sort of, good and worth watching and nice, friendly people who play cool games and such. But you can find all of these people by going to twitch.tv/ and then their name. And then I'll give you a bit of a list of nice ones, because, so if you go and check out Butt Doctor 17, he's really cool. He plays games and plays ukulele, so he's really awesome, and he streams he's in the UK, so streams are like sort of normal UK times. I'd also recommend Paige the Black Mage. She's really cool, and she streams in UK time. No, she's in the Netherlands, so I suppose an hour ahead of UK times.
Close enough.
But it's easy to watch her if you're in the UK. Technically, she is an hour and ahead. So they're my kind of like UK Europe sort of time people I'd recommend for now. Both very friendly and play cool games. If you want some like American time people, if you go check out Welcome to the McCrib, she plays puzzle games, and she's very friendly. So like she does a lot of things like Professor Layton and Ace Attorney, those sorts of things. Like she does visual novel puzzle games. Is kind of her jam. And then lastly, if you want, or like on a slightly more, I guess from our perspective, out there thing, but if you want anything in Korean time, GB Danny 207 is also really lovely, and she plays a lot of Resident Evil.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are a few streamers I've met recently that I think are really cool, and I'd go and check them out.
But you already have checked.
Well, I already have, yes, but I mean, I would suggest other people if you want to watch something cool, they're a good person to go and see.
Fair chairs.
Yeah. Also, obviously, you did your first stream the other day.
I did do my first stream the other day.
Which is pretty cool.
Quite quiet on the audio. I've now got a headset. I need to work out how to wire it up properly, but that's not a problem until a couple of weeks' time because I'm going to work on Sunday. So it will be a while before I'm doing it again. But then when I'm back, because I won't be waiting 2 weeks for a computer, it'll be 3 times a week.
Yeah, getting back into the proper swing of it.
Well, I mean, it won't even be getting back into the swing of it.
Well, no.
Getting into the swing of it.
Yeah.
There's no back about it.
But, you know, it's good that you've had your sort of initial get in, and everybody's first one always has some tech issues, so.
Yeah, it was also really uncomfortable because, like, the mic is really quiet if it's far away. So I was, like, keeping it on my chest.
Yeah.
And it was just really uncomfortable because it was heavy after a couple of hours, and I had to lean in an awkward way. Yeah, it wasn't great. So hopefully the headset will be a lot better when I get it fixed, or when I work out how to get all the sounds I want coming in the right places, etc.
Yes.
As I say, that's not an issue for right now. I mean, honestly, like, mine are normally the weirdest YouTube channels you'll ever find.
Yes.
Well, not the weirdest ones, but, you know, some abstracter ones. So this one is Todd's Workshop. Todd Cutler from Todd's Workshop. He does a lot of medieval. He's like a medieval artisan. He builds a lot of bows, shields, swords, all that kind of stuff. And he does a lot of really interesting videos on. He's been doing a lot of ones on arrows and bows and stuff. One of his best ones is about the medieval Legolas, which is a device which was made to attach to a longbow, which means you can fire it like really bloody fast. So rather than going draw, you just go pull, launch, pull, launch, pull, launch. Anyway, really interesting stuff. And he also has a shop where you can buy really nice things if you'd like really nice things like that. So it might not appeal to anyone at all, but some people might be thinking, bloody hell, that's exactly what I want to listen to or watch. And so if it is, Todd's Workshop.
All right then.
But yes, what are we here to do today? Today, as with every other day that we do this, not every day of our lives. That'd be a lot of days.
I would not keep up with that editing.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. My voice would die. It'd be too much. We're here today to discuss a fight between 2 fictional characters and to see which one we believe would win. How are we going to do this? What we're going to do is we're going to introduce our characters one at a time, starting with the reigning champion, who, if you were here last week, you'll remember was Krauser, who won against Geralt of Riviera. Some might say controversially, and, you know, that's fine. This is we're designed to enjoy light-hearted controversy. After all, this is based on the schoolyard conversation where everyone knows that whoever shouts the loudest wins anyway. But they won in a fight in a ball pit. So we're going to introduce our characters, and then we're going to go through a little bit about the characters, what they're like, where they're from, what weapons they use, what skill set they bring in a fight to the death, and then we're going to find out where they fight. And how do we do that?
We do that by rolling the die of death.
The die of death are lovely 20-sided dice, which has links to 20 places. We will then look at these places, decide what's going on there, and then we will have the fight to the death. If our characters win today, they will earn their next badge in their Mishmash Mayhem. Any character earning their Mishmash Mayhem earns their way into the Hall of Fame, for where there will be a victor tournament at some point in time.
Yes. Eventually it will happen.
Eventually it will happen. So, without further ado, I think it's time to introduce some characters.
Yeah. Okay. Quick overview of Krauser, because he was here last week. Not last week. Last episode. 2 weeks ago, at some point. Time. What is it? People just don't know.
Not even magicians know.
Not even magicians know. But yeah, Krauser was a special forces operative in the US military. So he is well trained in all sorts of weaponry. He tends to use submachine guns and grenades as his primary sort of weapons, because, you know, they're cool, aren't they? Especially flashbang grenades. He tends to sort of go for, like, daze opponents and then pew pew pew. Or, alternatively, if he's up close, he'll daze opponents with his flash grenades and then come in with powerful punches, kicks, or stabs with his dagger. Or slashes with his dagger. What?
I said dagger stabs.
Dagger stabs. Or dagger slashes. Dagger attacks in Dagger General. Because, you know, he's not only trained with all his weapons, he's a very powerful close combat person, because he's very muscly and very trained in fighting. A force to be reckoned with is Krauser. But this is, you know, what he can do while he's in his normal human form. What's that? He's got a different form, I hear you ask. That's right. As, you know, he's a baddie from Resident Evil, of course he has a different form. A different mutated form. He can, at will, change his left arm into a big, fucking scary, spiky, bladey thing, which he can do powerful attacks with. Obviously, it's a big, pointy, sharpy blade thing. He can stab people with it. He can also do what we determined last time as a boss battle dash, where he can sort of zoom at extreme speed to stab with his big pointy arm. But doing this sort of after his dash, he'll be immobile for a couple of seconds while he recovers. You know, in the way that boss battles do big attacks, and then you dodge out the way and then shoot them for a bit.
I do.
Yeah, it creates opening. So he has this dash attack. And then also, if he needs to do things defensively, he can fan out his blade arm to create like a bulletproof shield that covers the top half of his body. Because, ooh, fancy.
Because, ooh, fancy.
I don't know, because it's good to give a boss a defensive thing every now and again. So many boss battles nowadays are just focused on pure attack and overwhelming you, and it's nice to sometimes give them a defensive move. So, you know, he can do this as well. He can, like, fan out his thing into a bulletproof shield and then slowly advance until he's within striking range and then go for an attack. The only downside, I suppose, to this is when doing his fan, like, shield, his legs are still exposed, so you could just shoot him in the legs. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what he does in combat. Like I say, I was just doing a quick overview. But as a character, he's quite sort of calm and level-headed. Like I say, he's very professionally trained in fighting. So on the whole, he's quite hard to bait into doing ill-advised moves and strategies and the such. But it is not completely impossible, because he does certainly have an element to him which is a bit arrogant, and like that he has to prove he is the ultimate soldier and that he can defeat foes. So I guess potentially that could be exploited by the correct opponent to provoke him into doing things that aren't necessarily the best idea. Because yeah, a lot of his he's had some quite, I guess like a lot of people have, but being like a special forces person in the military, he has had some sort of trauma in his past and stuff, and I think that leads into why he now has to prove he's the ultimate soldier. So potentially that part of his personality could be exploited by the correct person, and that's kind of Krauser, really. I mean, again, there's not like a huge amount to say on him. He's just sort of, he's very skilled with knife combat, and like he's very skilled with gun combat, and he's just pretty decent.
He's pretty decent, but is he a pretty decent fellow?
Oh god, no.
Oh god, no. Eject.
Yeah, I mean, he is a bad guy, but he's a good fighter. Like, he's a good guy to have on your side.
unless you're a good guy.
Yeah, but even if you're a good guy, I get the feeling like, I don't know, you could with the right resources, you could probably convince him to work for you.
Is that resource money?
Quite probably, yeah. I was trying to remember. I think he does become like a soldier for hire, but don't quote me on that. That could be wrong.
Some people call them mercenaries.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think if when you meet him in Resident Evil 4, if he is a mercenary or not. I think he is. He's certainly not part of the U.S. military anymore.
And why would you be?
Well, exactly. I mean, if you go and work for bad people, they give you big mutant arm powers.
Arm powers.
Sweet arm powers.
Right, so is that all you've got to say on Mr. Krauser Boo?
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, it was slightly more in detail last episode, so people can always backtrack and reference and stuff if they want to. That is a good, quick overview of what he does.
Alright, my character this week, if you remember the clue, which I don't, because I never do, I never do, was something to do with they're a non-humanoid from a webcomic, but not a manga, but it might as well be, and they were a princess of Zahard. I think that's pretty much what I said.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? For anyone who's read or knows the webcomic in question, when you hear that they're a princess of Zahard, you'll immediately go, I know exactly what webcomic/webtoon this is, but I don't know who it is because there are many princesses of Zahard. But if then you think, oh, she's a non-humanoid, maybe you'll put the pieces together and you come up with AnakZahard or Zahard or AnakZahard Jr. The pronunciations are hard, okay? From the webcomic Tower of God. So a little bit of backstory about what Tower of God is all about, because otherwise it's going to make almost no sense. In the Tower of God universe, God knows what's going on outside the tower. There's not much there, but there are people there. But people can enter the tower, and they enter the tower and become what's known as regulars, essentially like people doing tests. And they try to climb to the top of the tower. By getting to the top of the tower, you become, well, you get to meet Zahard, the king. I think, is he a king or is he a god? I don't know. And you get like the whole point is everyone just wants to climb the tower, and you get whatever you get when you climb the tower. No one really knows. I mean, there's the stuff that says that you get whatever you want, but how much that's true, I don't. Who knows? The tower is full of different floors, and to proceed from floor to floor, you have to complete tests. But these tests aren't like, what's 5 times 3? It's like, all right, hold on. Whoever holds on to this key at the end of 5 minutes gets to pass. Go, do whatever you want. So you pass by being super strong, super dexterous, or super witty. There are many ways to pass tests, but a lot of people get killed not passing the tests.
Yay.
Yeah, because obviously they wouldn't get killed passing the test. They'd get killed as they fail to pass the test.
This sounds quite similar setup to Sword Art Online.
Sure, why not? Except it's Sword Art Online, isn't it? Online, so if you die, is it a problem? I don't know, I've not watched it.
No, the whole point is they get trapped inside the game, so if they die in the game, they die in real life.
Oh, so it's like the Matrix.
Yeah, kind of. But that's like, like the game has 50 floors in it, and you have to beat a boss fight to get to the next floor. And whoever reaches the top first gets like cool stuff.
Golden loot crates. So, AnakZahard, as I've mentioned, is a princess of Zahard. That's confusing because it's a Zahard and a Zahard. Oh no, sorry, she's a princess of Zahard. I'm just an idiot and can't pronounce anything or read anything. She's not an actual princess of Zahard, as in she is not his daughter.
Right.
But she is related to one, and therefore still has some of Zahard's power in her. Zahard, being obviously the guy at the top of the tower, is immensely powerful. Although I don't think we've ever, where I am in the story, we've never met him.
Right. You're just aware of him as being an all-powerful dude.
Yes. But even that's a bit suspect. But as related to this power being, that gives her enhanced strength and speed in combat, enhanced durability, and the classic bloodline boons. She is a lizard-looking like girl with a short brown bob cut, in case you want some real detail in there. Also, she doesn't have lizard hands or lizard feet. They're very human, but she looks like a lizard. So just deal with it. As a princess of Zahard, she is rated among some of the strongest regulars. As I mentioned before, the regulars are the people who are climbing the tower, and they are split into different ranks depending on how high up the tower they are. At the time we meet her, she is classified as one of the strongest of all regulars, even though she's only an E rank. Obviously, ranks go E to D to C to B to whatever. So, she's pretty powerful. She is incredibly prideful in her own power, and she stated before that is her greatest strength and also her greatest weakness. It's her great strength because she knows exactly what she can to do, but it's also her greatest weakness because she thinks she can do it. That doesn't make any sense.
It's her great strength because she's really powerful, but it makes her arrogant. But her arrogance is justified because she can do it.
Yeah, because she's really powerful. She's able to do a little bit of Shinsu manipulation. Shinsu is pretty much akin to, if you've watched like Naruto, it's akin to chakra. If you've watched anything with magicians in, it's kind of like magic. It's a great source of power that runs through the tower, and some people are able to control it and enhance it in some ways. Some people are able to like use it, form beams of energy and magic power and missiles and stuff. She's not that capable with it, but she is able to use it to enhance her combat ability and be able to jump huge heights and gain enhanced speed and reflexes. So there's that.
So she's just pretty awesome.
She's pretty awesome. In terms of weapons, she is pretty damn strong anyway. Her punches and her kicks have been shown to hit people through structures and, or not necessarily right through walls, but, damage walls and etc. But she was originally armed with the Green April, the month. This was a sword, an ignition weapon in her position. Ignition weapons are like weapons that have special powers. I don't know much more about them. And the Green April was one of the month series. So there's a sword or a weapon. I don't know if they're all swords for every month of the year. So there's a something May. I don't know why did I start at May. Oh, because April, May. There's a something January, a something February, a something March. I think it's the Black March, etc., etc. And she probably had this in her possession, but I mean, I'm going with part one. Like Anak from the beginning of the series because that's where I know her best because that's as far as I am.
Sure, that makes sense.
And it's essentially like a long, it looks like a really long kind of hook weapon. I'll show you. That's right, audience. You also can imagine this weapon. It's like a green hook. But as mentioned, that it's able to be ignited when it is, I don't think she ever ignites it in part one, actually. It just says, but it's a compression weapon, which means that it's been made smaller and it can be uncompressed into a huge whip-like sword that's incredibly flexible, and she's very adept with it, and it can even split into multiple whippy arms. I'm doing like an octopus wave of whippy arms, but you can't see, so you'll just have to imagine it.
Okay, imagining you doing an octopus.
Yep, cool. That's pretty much like her main weapon that she brings into combat. I mean, most of these people in here don't have a plethora of weapons. They just have one thing that they're damn good at. And she's really good with the Green April at using the like whip-like sword. And she's also damn good at, martial art combat, fisticuff time, kicks and punches, jumps, and all that jazz. She is as mentioned before, she's incredibly aware of her capabilities, and as such can be quite arrogant. She's not incredibly strategic. So there was an instance of her having a fight with Ran, some little blue guy, where they were both evenly matched in some degree, but Ran had used some kind of pill which made him like super powerful, more powerful than her for the time being. But after a certain amount of time, he'd be dead in the water. And her pride was too much to just only avoid for that time frame, even though she knew it was a thing. She just had to go in and try fight him anyway. She's easily riled, which is probably her other greatest weakness. But she is pretty damn strong, able to like punch people very far through walls, including this little round fellow. So that is my terrible introduction to AnakZahard, because all my introductions are terrible.
Yay. I think it's okay though. We can give these terrible introductions because if people think that our terrible introductions make the character sound cool, think how impressed they're going to be if they then go and look up the actual character.
Yeah, go read Tower of God. It should be called Tower of Good. It just shouldn't be called the Tower of Good.
Be like, yay, this tower is so good.
Tower is so good. All right, so where are they going?
Where are they going? We'll have to find out where the fight is taking place. And to do that, I must roll the die of death. Okay, today's fight is taking place on a farm.
Just on a farm.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of farm are we imagining here?
I don't know. In my mind, right? I don't know where I've got this image from. I'm thinking there's like a farmhouse to one side, and then it's like a nice little, I guess, driveway, which has a tractor on it in case people need a tractor. And then like
who doesn't need a tractor?
Over off to one side, you've got fields where I guess there's like crops and shit. And on the other side, you've got like a little pond where there's duck. And then beyond the pond, there's probably fields which have like cows and horses and sheep. So there's animals to the one side and crops to the other side. And I understand most real life farms probably do animals or crops.
I think they do both.
But I don't know.
I think most do both. If you're a farmer, let us know. Let us know what you farm, and we'll include it in the next episode somehow. Not a guarantee.
Yeah, we'll find a way. We'll just be like, by the way, did you know farmers farm this?
Okay, so quite a open place essentially.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room if we need it. But I mean, it might be like the oil rig where we're like, hey guys, we've got this whole oil rig and we just never left the heliport.
The helipad. That's where you say yes.
Yes.
Lovely. All right, cool. So time-honoured tradition tells us that Krauser is already at the farm.
Yeah, I don't know why. Can't think of any reason he'd be there, but he is.
So whereabouts is he on this farm?
He is by the pond. Maybe he's feeding the duck, which again is really uncharacteristic of him, but you know, it's fun, isn't it?
What, to feed ducks? That's all right.
Maybe he's feeding them Las Plagas sort of eggs, so that they're going to turn into mutant zombie ducks. That won't happen during this fight. That will be after we've left the farm.
Why do things turn into mutant zombie ducks? Why does that happen?
Well, the Las Plagas is like the parasite that turns people into zombies in Resident Evil 4.
Right.
So I'm just saying, maybe that's why he's there. He's giving them to ducks so that they can observe what happens to ducks.
Oh, I see. That's quite mean.
Yeah, well, you know, bad guy, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's true. What does a zombie duck eat?
Brains. I don't know, the same thing any other zombie eats.
I mean, do they go after duck brains, or do they still go after human brains?
All the zombie animals in Resident Evil attack humans.
Why is that? That's really weird, isn't it?
Well, I think they attack anything. They'll attack whatever's alive.
So they should attack not ducks. No, wait, ducks. They should attack ducks.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't attack other ducks.
Do these zombies make things zombies when they eat by them?
No.
So there won't just be a horde of zombie ducks.
Well, no.
It's a shame.
No. Also, like I say, the Las Plagas takes a while to take over its people, so you know, being a parasite as opposed to a virus, it takes time to grow and take over. So there won't be any zombie ducks during this fight. It will just be an interesting thing to know that canonically, after this fight takes place and people leave, this farm will be overrun by zombie ducks.
Ah, the greatest blessing of us all. Right, cool. So he's by the pond feeding some ducks, some whatever the hell you said.
Yep.
Is this are there trees in this pond? Not in the pond.
No.
Well, I mean, Anak's pretty confident in herself. I don't imagine she'd do anything other than just, you know, be casually walking, holding the small hook-looking like sword and like walking towards old matey boy, maybe even from the other side of the pond, because why not?
Sure. Will she like announce her arrival in any way?
I don't think there's any need to. You know, what's his face is going to see her, isn't he? It's not as if he's not going to see someone walking towards him with a hook sword.
Well, yeah.
Unless he's really busy fucking eating the ducks.
He's really into these ducks.
He's really fucking busy, but not that into the ducks. That's disgusting. Don't do that.
I didn't mean he was sexually into the ducks.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, don't be.
Hey, do you know why it's alright to be a duck voyeur?
What do you mean by a duck voyeur?
Well, you know what a voyeur is?
Well, yeah.
It's somebody who voyeurs on ducks.
Right, okay. Why is it okay to be a duck voyeur?
Because that's how you get Peking duck.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Right, moving on. Moving on. So, I mean, interestingly, there's probably no just to note, if this is a regular farm, the Shinsu that I mentioned earlier probably isn't present here, but that was only a thing that she could use to enhance her strength and speed. She still has really enhanced strength and speed anyway due to her bloodline, so it's probably not going to be the biggest of issues, but it's worth noting that it won't be present in this environment because this is it isn't the tower, is it?
No. So she's got very good strength and speed,
Yes.
but not very good plus strength and speed.
I mean, I don't know how to rank this. I mean, maybe we should rank these things.
Maybe.
Make a ranking table of like strength, speed, whatever. But then we'd have to make up numbers on the fly or letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. Screw letters. We'll just do this by curious judgment.
Yeah, let's just make shit up as we go along.
That's what we always do. It seems to work out fine. Except for the people who die. And every week someone dies. So, you know.
Some weeks 2 people do.
And 1 week no one did. So what I said was a lie. Right, anyway. So, as she's walking towards Krauser, is Krauser going to do anything? Or is she going to get an opportunity to go what I'm only going to describe as ham?
I think Krauser would certainly prepare for, combat. Because he's going to see that she's got a sword.
Or at least something that looks annoying and deadly.
But a big green hook thing.
Yeah.
So I guess he would probably maybe go, well, she's going to be in close combat. Let's try and quickly shoot her a bit, get some shots off.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Describe.
So she's going to walk up, brandishing her sword, not shy about it because she's really overconfident. Krauser's going to be like, she's coming, and I need to kill her. So he's going to pull out his submachine gun and then fire some shots at her, probably aiming, for maybe aiming, trying to like hit the arm that's holding the sword, like the hook sword, that like make her drop it and then like be less dangerous.
Okay. I mean, he could certainly get out his gun and start shooting.
Gun noise.
Insert gun noise here.
Pew pew.
It's a laser. I suppose it's a laser gun.
It's not a laser gun. It's a submachine gun.
No, I meant the sound. Anyway.
Oh.
Well, I mean, Anak is. There aren't like guns per se in Tower of God, but there are projectile weapons.
Yeah.
Definitely. So she's going to be like, wary of things like this. And if he starts drawing out a weapon, she's not just going to let him shoot at her. That'd be stupid. List of things that are stupid. Letting yourself get shot at. I mean, obviously, not everyone has the choice, but...
That is my entire list. List of things that are stupid. People being shot at.
As the only one. So she's probably going to, we said the pond was between them. Mentioned in her intro that she's, got enhanced or, is able to do good jumps, yo. Good jumps, yo. So she's probably
going to jump over the pond.
Yeah, absolutely. Just straight go into a running jump over the pond and try. I don't think she'd unleash the Green April just yet because she only needs to use it, when she needs to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But she would definitely jump into the air to like start coming down and swing at him.
Seeing being like, whoa, that's a crazy jump. Krauser would go for like a sideways roll out the way because that's a cool way to dodge things.
That is a cool way to dodge things.
But what he'd do, as he rolled out the way, he'd drop a flashbang grenade behind him. So hopefully she'd land and get flashed.
So like as he rolls, he just like unhitches one from his belt.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
I mean, is he going to also get flashbang by this? I mean, he rolling, you don't get that far away by rolling.
But he'd be looking the other direction because he knows it's going to go off. I mean, he might mildly, certainly a lot less so than she is.
Yeah.
I think he'd take a glancing flash.
Glancing flash.
Glancing flash sounds like an unfortunate experience in a park, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, unless you're like, if it's back in the day, that's like someone's like walking up some stairs and you catch their ankle and you're like, ooh.
That's a Victorian glancing flash.
Yeah, Victorian glancing flash. So she jumps across. Anak jumps across this pond and brings her whip up and goes to say whip hook sword goes to smash it down. Krauser drops to one knee or whatever he does, unhooks her, rolls out of the way and like just covers his face a bit. And as Anak lands where he was, and there's like a, the classic dust clouds rising anime style from the ground, because that's what it's like. She goes to turn towards where he is, and then there's this flashbang. I'm not sure there's been anything akin to a flashbang in the Tower of God so far, so definitely been somewhat of a nuisance to her. I imagine that she'd, being disorientated and not really know where she is, she'd probably just either cover herself or like jump backwards. Probably jump backwards. Like a classic, like getting some distance jump, because the air is quite flat. It's not as it's quite open, so there's not much worry that she's going to jump into, I don't know, a hot molten furnace or a electric fence or a kettle.
No. Yeah, no, I don't think there'd be like anything sort of in the way, so to speak. I mean, I suppose that actually the only other thing, if she's going to like be dazed by the flash, she might fall in the pond.
Well, she jumped over the pond and turned, so I'm not necessarily sure she would fall in the pond.
No, that's fine. Okay, but Krauser's going to be like, well, she's going to be a bit more like dazed and that. This is my chance to sort of get in and do an attack.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get up off the floor, but that's fine.
So I imagine he'd go in and he can do like one of his sort of big close combat moves and such in the games. He does like a jumping roundhouse kick to like knock people onto the floor. So I imagine he can go and do his big power kick, like to floor her, so to speak, and then he can, with the idea of being like when she's on the floor, he can then go for like a downward stab with his dagger.
Describe the motion of his leg.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to work out where the momentum and force of this kick is going.
He would, I mean, I don't want to use the word hop because that sounds weird, but essentially
he hops over.
No, he'd walk over to, or run or whatever over to her, and then I guess technically hop, because it's sort of a one-legged thing, but I mean it's more of a jump, I don't know. And so on his right leg, so maybe, or his left leg, I don't know which leg he uses, but he'd hop up on one leg, his other leg would then spin round in a sort of 180 degrees arc, with somewhere in that arc colliding with her chest.
So is it like, is it like an axe chop going up to down, or is it
No, it's going left to right. It's a roundhouse.
Right, okay. Roundhouse, okay. That's kind of what I was getting at, sorry. Okay, so I mean, Anak's like jumped back, and it's all white in front of her, and it's starting to like clear up, and probably like just as she like gets a bit of vision, she sees this like kick coming in from the side, one of the sides, doesn't really matter which. Probably won't have much time definitely won't have any time to avoid it, and probably only just got enough time to not even fully block it, but just like, start to get an arm in the way of it. Takes the kick and probably just gets, swept. Swept is an interesting word. Like does the classic like slide across the floor in a direction that she was kicked.
Yeah. So then, while she's sort of down on the floor, Krauser's gonna get his dagger out and go for like
I didn't think she'd go to the floor.
Okay.
She's quite resilient, and she's got a lot of stability in her. I think she'd just be like pushed to the side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, even so, I think Krauser's still going to be like, well, maybe I can get a stab in, and it's not as good as he would have liked, but he'll get his dagger out and maybe just go for a torso-based stab. It won't quite be like the downward plunge into her heart he was expecting, but he can still do some damage.
So he like kicks her, carries on with his momentum and turns, runs just quickly towards her with his knife out, goes for a stab. Anak by this point has got flashbang is probably mostly worn off.
She's probably over the flashbang now, but it's just the fact that she's just taken quite a hefty kick to the chest.
So she would, I mean, honestly, she's taken some good punts and stuff. If that dagger isn't going anywhere super critical, she might even just be tempted just to fucking like do like a direct counter punch straight into him, because she's like beastly strong as well. So she would just like, I could take that knife. in a small part of me. I can take that. Let's give him some of my medicine. Her idea being that, you know, she's punched a lot of people before. They tend to go backwards a bit. She can get it backwards and then get out her elongate her whip sword hook thing and use that at a bit bigger range.
Okay, makes sense. If she's sort of super strong and stuff, there's no reason to think that her punch wouldn't knock Krauser back.
But equally, as mentioned, she would also therefore take a bit of a stab to the side or something.
Bit of a stomach wound.
Yeah, but I mean, she's had worse, probably. She's definitely had worse. But yeah, goes for the counter punch, punches old Krauser Nugget in the I guess it would be like up somewhere in the shoulder, chest area, in the pec, right in the pec.
Yeah.
Gives him a good hard one, but not a good hard one.
Because I want to sort of gauge her super strength and stuff. How much damage is sort of her hit going to do?
I'm really struggling to find a good punch. But what's a good analogy? I imagine it'd be, you know, pretty painful. It's always hard to compare universes, you know?
Yes. I'm just sort of thinking, like, would it be, you know, sort of such a powerful punch it would, like, knock him over? Would it just knock him back? Would he be able to take it relatively standing still?
Definitely not a standing still. Unsure if it would knock him over, but it would definitely give him air, is the implication from most of what I've seen. You know what I mean? So he probably can land on his feet. You know, if he was like just a nobody, he probably wouldn't be able to land on his feet. But...
Sure. I would say the way Krauser usually sort of work, I mean, from seeing things, is he usually takes hits relatively similar to a normal human, that he can just take more of them.
Right, sure.
At least while he's sort of in his more human form, I guess. Once, although technically only his arm mutates, I sort of think in that boss battle he can, like, he's a bit of a bullet sponge because, you know, boss fight. Yeah, he takes hits roughly similar to a normal human. He can just take them for...
Alright, okay, so he probably would be sent flying back and fall over. He'd get launched, you know, a fair distance back. Boof, like, oh, hello, I wasn't expecting that from a little lizard girl.
No.
Don't call her a little lizard girl, she won't like it. Probably lands like, you know, like, does that across the floor, which people love.
Yeah, all the dust comes up, very anime.
All the dust comes up, very anime. The poor worms in the ground, they're dead. Suck it, worms.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's alright, there are any worms. And as mentioned, like, Anak's plan here is to then just, you know, go swording, because she can, if he's, you know, if she's kicked him over, or sorry, punched him over onto the floor, she can uncompress the green April and use it, you know, spin it round a lot and try get him at some distance as well. He looks like just a man at the minute.
Yeah. So she's going to be trying to close in with her sword.
No, because she uncompresses her sword, so it goes from like being however long it is to being much longer.
Oh, I see.
Like
so she's got a sword she can fight a range with.
Yes, it's like a giant whippy sword, kind of like this is the weirdest comparison for a sword you're ever gonna think. What's his name? Help me out here.
Renji.
No, in Naruto with the shadows.
Shikamaru.
Yes, like Shikamaru's shadows, like, or, you know, creep in and could split. It's like that, except it's not conformed to the floor because it's not a shadow; it's a whip sword thing.
I see. Well, Krauser is going to be like, firstly, I don't want to be hit by a crazy sword, so he's going to try and go into some invasive maneuvers.
Yeah.
He's also thinking, fuck that hurt, I don't want to be punched again, so I'm going to also try and keep a bit of distance.
Yep.
And then I imagine it'll be a case of trying to dodge the sword and shoot her.
Alright, okay. So she's like, you know, just started to spin this sword around and then, like, you know, throw it. I don't mean obviously throw it, but you know, like how you cast a fishing line, but
yeah,
like that, but with a sword, but you're not doing anything at all, like what I just said. We describe things the best here.
It's kind of like this, except nothing like this.
Kind of like this, except nothing like this. Spinning around, and these like two. Let's just go for two for the minute. these two like whip tendrils are flying towards old matey boy. Another roll out the way as he springs up onto his feet and gets his gun out again and starts trying to shoot at Anak. Again, Anak's not just gonna stand still and let him shoot her, and she's got quite good speed. So I think she would probably go, like curving run towards him, because if you just run straight towards someone with a gun, they're gonna shoot you.
Damn straight they are.
Yeah, damn straight they are. So like an arcing run using the sword to keep him on a defensive while she runs in, ready to probably slide tackle or kick him in some manner. Maybe a slide tackle. I think she'd go for a slide tackle. If she can get him onto the floor, I think that she'll feel that's like a good idea.
Okay. But she's really fast, isn't she?
She is pretty fast.
As she's getting closer, then, do you think she'll take any hits from like being shot?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly at the beginning he would struggle to get the aim right, but as you mentioned, as she gets closer, there's less leeway required less lead required in the aiming. So maybe he'd start like trailing quite far behind and be like, "Oh bugger," and then manage to bring it across. But I mean, it's also a matter of is that going to take too much concentration for him to not be hit? Is he able to both put his attention to avoiding some sword whips coming in to be able to aim properly, or is he just going to have to just shoot and hope while he's concentrating to avoid?
I think he would shoot her, but also be slide kicked.
Okay, so he's put it like half and half into, most of his attention's going into avoiding to start, and then as she gets closer, the sword's going to become less of a problem anyway, because she'll probably compress it as she comes in. Manages to get a couple of shots into her. I don't know where, somewhere, but as she goes for like the slide kick, so maybe like a couple go into her like the slide kicking leg or something as she goes down. But then she gets the slide kick off successfully, straight into his knees. So he probably gets sent tumbling slightly over her, as she goes under back onto the floor.
Yes. So they're both on the floor, kind of in a bit of a heap.
Well, they're not necessarily in a heap with each other.
But near each other.
Near each other.
They're heap adjacent.
Heap adjacent. Yes. The only difference would be that where Anak's was a controlled slide kick, she's in a much better position to spring back up than, say, Krauser, who is, had his legs taken out and has fell to the floor.
You say that, but she's also taken a few bullets to her leg.
She has taken a few bullets to her leg, but we'll come to that.
But yeah, I think Krauser would probably be aware of that, and especially seeing the speed of which he travels and stuff, he'd be prepared that she would get an attack off first. So yeah, I think it's time he's got to mutate his arm, and then he can use it as a shield if she goes for him.
Yeah.
And then being like the idea that he can block her attack with his shield, and then with his like shield mutant arm, and then just use like a dagger stab with his regular arm. So
essentially, he's getting ready to transform his arm, and ready position himself to block.
He's expecting an attack coming in,
and Anak would probably she's done the slide kick. She's been shot on that leg a bit, which is unfortunate and painful, and is definitely going to make things a bit more awkward, especially as that's probably the leg that you'd normally then spring off of, because it's the like forward facing one. So but she will like spring back up and launch herself towards him, ready for a kick of her own with her other leg, for obvious reasons. But her launch isn't going to be quite as fast as she would have necessarily imagined at first. Yeah, as she would have desired, because it's been shot a bit. But she does go in for a good old kick in.
Yeah, but like I say, so Krauser would be ready to block it with his mutant shield.
Yeah, so she comes in for this kick, and Krauser just goes like, and the kick gets like he'll probably still feel it a lot in his arm, but as he's already, he's not stood upright, he's just in a defensive position, on the floor. He's probably not going to get shunted anywhere, although he's, as I say, he's going to feel it in his defense arm. And she's going to be a bit surprised by that as well. Probably try, just try following it up with getting behind him with her momentum and trying for another kick, but not on his arm, because she's got the physical momentum at the minute. So it seems like a reasonable thing.
Well, I was still thinking, like, I don't know how much he would necessarily feel it in his shield arm, because, like I say, that arm is sort of bulletproof. It's designed to sort of, like, block attack and such. And his whole thing was he was sort of preparing, so as she came in with the attack, he could then, like, get a knife blow. So I was sort of thinking, as she goes to, like, kick his arm, if she's planning on sort of, I guess, running over him with the momentum, maybe he won't get, like, a full stab on her or something, but he could maybe, like, slash the back of her leg as she goes.
Okay, yeah. So,
which, again, would... I mean, that's another... she's now taken, like, wounds to both her legs, and it's just going to slow her down a bit.
Yeah, but when I said he felt it in his arm, I didn't mean, like, like, ow. I just meant he'd feel the reverberations and the power that it was. Do you know what I mean? Okay, yeah. It's like in rugby when you hold those massive sacks and someone just runs into you and you're like, poof, whoa, felt that. But, it doesn't hurt. That kind of felt. Not like getting shot. But yeah, so she gets the kick that gets blocked and is a bit like, whoop, and just, goes to carry on. He manages to craftily get a slash up with a dagger and just managed to get her leg slashed somewhere as she goes over. She probably still would try do a turnaround and kick with one of her legs while she's there. Actually, no, maybe not. Maybe she just given that, she'd probably just, where people like step off people's shoulders and launch themselves away.
Yeah.
Launch herself off of the man, and to be fair, he'd probably get some shoulder recoil down into the floor as well with that, or not necessarily to the floor, but towards the floor. In a ideal to launch herself away and use the green April at range again, because if she's got 2 injured legs, that's not gonna help with kicking and stuff. So she might go back to sword play, because if she's focusing fully on her sword, she can probably do some damage.
Yes. Yeah, probably. Okay, so she's gonna try and make some distance. Is she then gonna go back to, like, using her sword as, like, the tentacle-y thing?
Yeah, so she would, spring off Krauser, and as she's, like, flying over, do a front flip twist for style, and, slash back with the sword while she's in the air. Okay.
I mean, I think Krauser would be certainly not expecting her to do a flip with her legs in the state they are, so would probably be caught off guard by this attack. I mean, he might be able to get, like, reactionary a slight block to it, but so maybe it doesn't hit as well as she would have liked, but I think it will hit and do some damage.
Yeah.
I then think, though, that she's then going to land on like one leg that's got, like, a knife wound and one leg that's got a few bullets in it, and that's going to be an awkward landing.
She is definitely going to have an awkward, painful landing, that is for sure. She's definitely going to have, like, a land and definitely a wince. It's definitely going to be a few moments where the sword won't be whipping around and attacking. It will, it'll just be carrying on with its momentum rather than being controlled and changed in an attacking manner. Just while she goes, oof, ow.
And I think that will give Krauser the time he needs to sort of get himself up off the floor and get ready for combat to continue, I guess. But it gives him time to get up while she's sort of going, oh god, my legs.
So he manages to, in the lull of direct attacks coming from the whip sword, he manages to roll himself out the way or whatever he does, get up. But then there's going to be a fair bit of distance between them, and she's going to be continuing on with her sword attacks from distance.
I mean, again, I think Krauser's just got to try and dodge it and maybe get some shots off where he can.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the difference between the first time and this time around, where he was managing to avoid the sword, was in that instance Anak was also running towards him ready to kick, so all her focus wasn't on the sword. But this time, that's going to be like her sole purpose, is just she'll be fairly stationary, which obviously isn't, but whipping this sword around, making quite vicious attacks of it would be the play. The plays.
Even so, yeah, but Krauser's now got his arm he can use to block things as well. I think trying to be sort of... Or maybe that would be a better idea, actually. Just block the sword attacks with his shield arm whilst trying to close the gap between him and Anak so he can stab her some more.
I mean, if there was only the one tendril, I'm going to call it a tendril now. I'm going to change my mind, my naming of it every time. Then yeah, I think he'd be able to block. But there's two of them. It's there's not just one. And if she really wanted, she could make it into more. But we'll just leave it at two for now. So although he can probably block one of them at a time, I'm not sure he can block two of them at a time because they can come in from different from different angles. And this is all her attention at the minute.
In which case, I guess, like, how much is the distance between them currently, roughly?
I mean, she would have got a good jump off. So we're probably talking somewhere between 10 and 20 meters.
I don't know, because Krauser's not going to be able to drop his defense, because he's got to be at least blocking one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in which case she's probably too far away for him to try and close the gap. That he's not going to have time to try and get off any shots or anything. So I think she's just going to be able to wear him down.
Yeah.
I think actually the only thing he might be able to do, it would mean that one of the tendril things would probably get quite a decent hit on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see it being his only way out of it is it's sort of like, he goes, I'll block one, let the other one get a hit on me, but in getting a hit on me, I'm going to make a ditch effort to chuck a flashbang at her.
Right, okay. So he's running towards first he like...
No, I don't think he'll necessarily be running.
So he's not running towards her. Okay.
He'll do that when she gets flashed.
Right, okay. So the attacks are coming in and he manages to like block one and he gets struck at the side or something while he's picking up a flashbang. I mean, how long is it going to take him to pick up and to lob a flashbang? And can he lob a flashbang 10 odd meters? It's quite a throw.
I don't know. I like I say, I think at this point, like, flashing her will be his only chance. Yeah. If he can't do it, he's going to die.
I mean, I agree with you. I have the concerns about the effectiveness of the flashbang for 3 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose a couple more maybe. How long it's going to take him to do that is going to, the longer it takes him to do that, the more attacks he's going to get in on him from Anak. Range, he can actually throw a flashbang. He probably could throw one 10 meters, to be honest. Like, he's got a beefy arm. I can throw a tennis ball 10 meters if I really try.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do it.
But the main concern was the sword, is from Anak to him, whipping around and stuff. I'm not sure there's a clear path for the flashbang. I think it might end up being either bashed out the way or destroyed just by chance and the speed of attacks coming in from Anak before it would get a chance to reach its destination. Even if that flashbangs them both marginally. I don't know what happens if a flashbang gets cut in half or bashed out the way, but
I assume it would just go off.
Yeah, that would be my biggest concern about that happening. Although I don't disagree with you that it is a good idea for him. Okay,
so this is what I think would happen. He's going to block the first one. I don't think it would take him very long to throw a flashbang anyway. It's only a second or two game-wise. Yeah. So, but in doing... as he throws the second one, that arm will take quite a bad hit from the sword because he's left it vulnerable, essentially.
Yeah.
But he has launched a flashbang. So, just like last week, I'm now going to establish his right arm destroyed.
Classic Krauser.
Yeah. The flashbang would then launch maybe somewhere in between the two of them. It then gets struck by the sword. Yeah, and then as it's sort of an equal distance, I would say it would probably flash both of them.
Yeah, but I think that's benefit Anak if it flashes both of them equally.
Okay, why so?
Simply because she'll, be spinning and whipping the sword at a stationary target.
Mm-hmm.
So, although she can't directly see him, she'll know if she just keeps the motion going, it's still going to be on target. Whereas he now is flashbanged, not necessarily able to see exactly where he needs to defend.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, as the flash went off, he would just, even if he can't see, he'd just start kind of running in her direction.
Right.
Because he needs to close the distance, so he wouldn't necessarily be where she thought he was.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that he's not going to take a few glancing hits trying to close the distance.
Yeah, okay, so he throws this flashbang, it gets slashed in midair, and they both kind of get semi-blinded as he starts sprinting towards her. Or has he started sprinting towards her before the flashbang goes off? It is kind of important.
Probably in a sort of similar time. He'd start running sort of as it was going off.
Yeah, because if he's started as it's going off, Anak would see him running towards her.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And that would mean that she'd have the insight to, or at least the knowledge that he's coming towards me, to change the angles of attack, even if it's, you know, not perfect because a flashbang's just gone off and he's now a moving target. Even if she just like does some kind of sidestep and more of a, you know, a sweeping attack across that line of direction. If they're both flashbanged a little bit and she's got a vague idea of where he's going, but he's unable to see the sword attacks, even if they're, you know, they're not going to, of course, they're not going to be fully accurate. They're not going to be like headshots or anything, because, you know, how could they be? But I feel he might have a bit of trouble there.
Yeah, you're right. In which case, he would probably be hit enough with the sword to slow him down, so he can't close the distance until as much as he would like. She'll then get her sight back and probably finish him off.
So he's like, you know, he throws the flashbang. He starts running in, thinking, right, this is my chance here. This needs to work. The flashbang goes off and catches them both a bit unaware. She, having just seen him come towards, just does a little bit of a sidestep out of the way as she's sweeping the sword kind of pseudo blindly, but with a good idea of roughly where stuff's going on. Unable to defend, Krauser gets caught by a couple, and then, you know, that hinders him a little bit as getting the distance, and as they both recover, the hindering doesn't allow him enough time to recover and do anything else before she manages to bring more sword attacks in and finish poor Krauser boy off.
And then that's it. His legacy will go on in the zombie ducks that emerge from the pond tomorrow.
His legacy goes on.
Okay. Cool. Well, that was the fight for today.
It was indeed.
I think it's a shame. I think Krauser almost got a victory. I think she was, you know, certainly worse for wear.
Yeah, definitely. If she wasn't a princess of Zahard with, you know, boosted bloodline boons, she probably would have lost that fight.
Or even, I think, it was a case of whoever got the next good hit in, I think, really.
Yeah.
And, like, if she had had a more conventional weapon that he could have blocked easier, it would have been alright.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Or, you know, again, like you say, it was because of her enhanced bloodline and stuff. If she hadn't been able to jump sort of 15 metres away, if she had been a bit closer.
Yeah.
But she does have those things, so, you know, unfortunate for him.
It is unfortunate for him. But that is the way it goes in Mishmash Mayhem.
It sure is. So, yeah, that was, like I say, today's fight. If you think that fight would have gone different, please let us know. If you think Krauser would have won for some reason, tell us. You can contact us by going to @podcastmmm on Twitter, or you can email us at the email address podcastmmm@tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. Obviously, if you want to contact us, you can also let us know what characters you would like to see fight. If you think you know who could beat Anak, then let us know, and maybe they'll fight them.
Maybe they will.
You know, similarly, if you want to suggest a place for the fights to take place, you can let us know that. You might have thought a farm was a boring place. I mean, it was quite picturesque and, like, nice, but I don't think it really played too much into the fight.
No, it was quite an open place, really. It was just an open space.
Yeah.
And it had a lake and some ducks in it.
Yeah, it had ducks, and I feel like that was fun.
It had ducks. Whack. No ducks were harmed in the making of this podcast.
I mean, they totally were. They were infected with Las Plagas. They're going to become mutant ducks.
Yeah, but no real ducks.
Oh yeah, well, no real ducks. Okay, any final thoughts for the day, Mr. Wade?
I've got to drive to Great Yarmouth on Sunday, and that's not going to be that fun.
That's a shame.
It is.
I mean,
these things happen.
Yeah, I guess tying into that, we're a little bit more prepared for it this time, but we'll probably have, so we can warn you in advance, but there'll probably be like another episode like break for a while.
Yes, I don't know how long I'm going to be away for. The job says it's 25 days of work, but whether, well, A, that's not going to happen. It's going to be more than 25 days of work because weather is a thing. And B, whether I then stay on for a second month or not I have no idea.
Sure. And if you have to like self-isolate before you go to work again, that will be an extra week.
Oh, well, I'm self-isolating before I go there anyway.
Yeah.
Just in a hotel. I don't know what. I think the test is on Wednesday.
Sure, but I mean that would be like an extra week on top of your 25, won't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously Wade's not been back as long as we would have thought he was going to be this time. So we've got 2 episodes recorded, you know, but that we haven't been able to do sort of loads to prepare for him being away here again. So there will be another break in episodes. Unfortunately, this will probably just sort of be the way of things from now on.
Hopefully, if we get to if I get the time off that I should be getting, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah, but at least we can warn you there's going to be a gap this time. It's not like it's completely caught us off guard. Okay, bye everyone, and we will let you know as soon as we have some more episodes coming up.
Catch y'all late.
Bye.
Hey everyone, Chris here. So it turns out that both me and my good friend Wade are idiots, and consequently, when making this episode, we forgot to record the clue for my next character. So here it is, I'm doing it now, post-show, on my own, without Wade, so there won't be any reaction to it. But the clue for my character, who's going to be joining us in episode 36, there's only one way to describe this character, and that is that he is a semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal of action, except for, that one time when he was an egg-laying semi-aquatic mammal of action in a fez, and that one time when he was a teenage girl. So hopefully you'll know who that character is, or if you don't, it'd be exciting for you to find out next time, whenever next time is, because obviously, at the time I'm currently recording this, Mr. Wade is somewhere on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Woo. Hopefully, see you all soon. Bye for realsies now. Bye!